All right, let's jump right in. Today we're diving into a pretty high-stakes battle, the ongoing fight against financial crime right here in India. And our main focus, a really powerful piece of legislation called the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, or the PMLA. Let's get into it.
So it all starts with this one super important question. Imagine a criminal makes a ton of cash from something illegal, say smuggling or fraud. They've got this huge problem, right? A mountain of dirty money that they can't just go out and spend without raising all sorts of red flags. So what's their next move?
They launder it. And yeah, it's a lot like washing dirty clothes. Money laundering is all about taking that illegal cash and running it through a whole series of complicated transactions to make it look totally legitimate, to make it clean. It's not just about hiding the money, it's about completely erasing its criminal past so they can use it freely.
Now, to fight something this sneaky, countries need some serious legal muscle. And in India, our main shield against this kind of financial crime is the PMLA. So let's take a look at how this thing actually works.
Okay, so the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, it was passed back in 2002 and really got going in 2005. It has a very clear two-part mission. First, stop money laundering before it even happens. And second, if it does happen, seize any and all property that came from it. It's designed to hit criminals exactly where it hurts them the most, their wallet.
Now here's where it gets really clever. The PMLA basically turns financial institutions, banks, payment companies, you name it, into the front line of defense. They have some really strict obligations. They absolutely have to verify who their clients are, that's the whole Know Your Customer or KYC thing. They also have to keep detailed records of transactions for at least 5 years. And most importantly, if they see anything that looks even a little bit fishy, they have to report it to India's main agency for this, the Financial Intelligence Unit, or FIU-IND. These aren't just rules for the sake of rules, they are the tripwires designed to catch that dirty money in its tracks.
But are these rules just words on a page? Not a chance. As the source material for this explainer shows, the consequences for not following these rules are very, very real. So let's look at how the FIU-IND has actually used the PMLA in a couple of pretty big cases. Our first case file involves a name you'll definitely recognize, Paytm Payments Bank. The FIU-IND started an investigation after law enforcement agencies found that money from illegal stuff, like online gambling, was being funneled through accounts at the bank.
And what the investigation found were some pretty critical failures. Remember those core obligations we just talked about? Well, Paytm stumbled. Their own internal systems just weren't set up to flag suspicious activity. They weren't doing proper ongoing checks on their payout service, which means they had no real idea where huge sums of money were going. And because of all that, they completely failed to file what are called suspicious transaction reports for dozens of accounts that were actively moving illegal funds. It's a classic example of how a breakdown in compliance opens the door wide for financial crime.
And the result? A penalty of 5.49 crore rupees. That's a very loud and clear message from the regulator. If you don't stick to your PMLA obligations, it's gonna cost you. Big time.
Okay, so now let's switch gears to our next case, which takes us into the world of cryptocurrency. This one's about a company called Bybit, a crypto trading platform, or what the law calls a virtual digital asset service provider. This case is a perfect example of how the PMLA is adapting to brand new financial tech.
Bybit's mistake was even more basic. Since it was operating in India, it was considered a reporting entity under the PMLA. That means it was legally required to register with the FIU-IND, and it just didn't. This wasn't a case of missing a few suspicious transactions. This was a complete failure to even join the regulatory system. And that ultimately led to its website getting blocked here in India.
The penalty for being so non-compliant? Even bigger, a staggering 9.27 crore rupees. This really hammers home how seriously regulators are taking the crypto world and its responsibilities under these anti-money laundering laws.
So let's just put these two side by side. On one hand, you have a payments bank that failed in its duty to watch and report. On the other, you have a crypto platform that failed at the very first step, just registering. The main takeaway here is crystal clear. It doesn't matter if you're in traditional banking or on the cutting edge of digital assets, the PMLA applies to you, period.
Okay, so we've talked about huge fines for huge companies. But beyond all that, why does enforcing the PMLA actually matter to the rest of us? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here.
At the end of the day, strong anti-money laundering laws are about protecting the integrity of the financial system we all use and rely on every single day.
They make sure companies are held accountable for their part in preventing crime. And maybe most importantly, by choking off the flow of illegal money, these laws directly disrupt the crimes themselves, everything from online scams all the way up to global terrorism.
And that kind of leaves us with a final big question to chew on. As finance gets faster, more digital, more global, the criminals are evolving right along with it. The cases of Paytm and Bybit show that our regulators are definitely adapting. But you have to wonder, in this constant race between innovation and crime, can the rules and the people enforcing them really keep up? It's something for all of us to think about.